Two-wheel tractor or walking tractor are generic terms understood in the USA and in parts of Europe to represent a single-axle tractor, which is a tractor with one axle, self-powered and self-propelled, which can pull and power various farm implements such as a trailer, cultivator or harrow, a plough, or various seeders and harvesters. The operator usually walks behind it or rides the implement being towed. Similar terms are mistakenly applied to the household rotary tiller or power tiller. Although these may be wheeled and/or self-propelled, they are not tailored for towing implements. A two-wheeled tractor specializes in pulling any of numerous types of implements, whereas rotary tillers specialize in soil tillage with their dedicated digging tools. This article concerns two-wheeled tractors as distinguished from such tillers. Confusion over definition. Research has identified a number of terms used to identify two-wheel tractors, including walk-behind tractor, iron ox, walking tractor, mechanical ox, ox machine, pedestrian tractor, hand tractor, single-axle tractor, and in Asia, tok-tok. There is also a fair bit of confusion in nomenclature regarding machines of similar size configuration that operate a single implement. The important distinction between a two-wheel tractor and any of these machines is that the two-wheel tractor is a single-axle, walk-behind machine designed to operate multiple interchangeable implements, where machines in the categories above typically only operate one implement, which implement is often integral to the machine. Power tiller can be understood as a garden tiller or rototiller of the small petrol-electric-powered, hobby gardener variety. They are often sold as a rotary tiller, though the technical agricultural use of that term refers solely to an attachment to a larger tractor. Alternatively, the terms power tiller, or rotary tiller are always understood in Asia and elsewhere to be rubber or iron-wheeled, self-propelled machines of 5 or 18 horsepower and usually powered by heavy-duty single-cylinder diesel engines. Adding to the nomenclature confusion, agricultural engineers like to classify them as single-axle tractors. For clarity, the rest of this article refers to the self-propelled, single-axle, multi-attachment tractive machines as two-wheel tractors. For production agriculture, past and present, two-wheel tractors accept a wide range implements, such as the following: for soil working, rototillers, moldboard ploughs, disc ploughs, rotary ploughs, root tuber harvesting ploughs, small subsoiler ploughs, powered and non-powered harrows, seeders, transplanters, and planters. Even zero-till no-till planters and seeders have become available. In plant protection and weed control, two-wheel tractor implements consist of various intercultivators and sprayers. For harvesting, available implements are forage sickle bar mowers, disc mowers, hyrocks, hay tedders, high bollers and bale wrappers. For silage production. For grain harvest, reaper grain harvesters, reaper binders, and even combine harvesters are available, although typically only for Asian two-wheel tractors. For transport, trailers with capacities from 0.5 to 5+ ton cargoes are available. General mowing implements consist of lawnmowers, brush mowers, and flail mowers. For snow removal, implements consist of snow blowers, power sweepers, and snow dozer blades. Other implements include chipper shredders, log splitters, electrical generator, pressure washer, crimper roller, fertilizer lime spreader, and stump grinder. This list of implements means that two-wheel tractors can execute practically all of the chores done by larger four-wheel tractors, with the exception of items like front loaders, which obviously have the physical stability requirements of a four-wheel tractor. This confusion over, or perhaps just ignorance of the utility of two-wheel tractors, persists even at research and institutional levels. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization's own statistical database, FAO Stat, gauges levels of agricultural mechanization by numbers of four-wheel tractors and ignores completely the fact that two-wheel tractors often perform much, or even exactly, the same work as done by four-wheeled models. By using FAO statistics, international donors and agricultural research and development centers assume, as Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have very few four-wheel tractors, that they are completely unmechanized compared to India, which has a large population of them. Yet, When two-wheel tractors are included, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka are the most highly mechanized countries in South Asia in terms of area farmed using mechanized tillage. Two-wheel tractors are also extremely common for agricultural use in the mountainous countries of Europe, and as of 2015, there are at least 15 brands of two-wheel tractors of Italian origin alone. History: development of single-axle tractors and power tillers worldwide began in the early 20th century and for many decades involved a mixture of people working independently in local contexts and, in other cases, of people expanding on the inspiration provided by others' work in distant locales, learned about via exports, travel, or reading. The homegrown instances and the interwoven threads are discussed in subsequent sections. Europe equals. In 1910 Dr. Konrad von Meyenberg of Basel, Switzerland, applied for a patent for a machine for mechanical tillage. Patent number 1,018,843 was granted on February 27, 1912. He then licensed his patent to Siemens Schuh-Kurtwerk of Berlin, Germany. Siemens, an electrical manufacturer, built their first two-wheel tractor with rotavator bodine for currency, say using an electric motorized two-wheel tractor and a long extension cord in 1911. The idea was quickly abandoned and Siemens began using 2- and 4-cycle single-cylinder internal combustion engines to power their two-wheel tractors. Around 1932 Siemens sold off its cultivator division and focused on its electrical applications. Mr. Eberhard Bungartz of Munich, Germany, a trailer manufacturer, purchased the division in 1934 with all patents, parts, and machinery, and he went into production using the Bungartz name. The SIMAR Company of Switzerland began development of a similar machine and by 1932 were producing several sized machines ranging from 2½ to 10 horsepower, with a tilling width of 14 inches to 36, and weight from 220 pounds to 880 pounds. Starting after World War II, many countries in Europe started producing two-wheel tractors, most notably Italy. In 2014, Italy had over 15 manufacturers of two-wheel tractors. Starting in the late 1960s early 1970s, many European two-wheel tractors underwent an evolution, which sharply contrasted them from the Asian and American machines. The introduction of fully reversible handlebars, allowing the machine's PTO to be effectively in the front or rear of the tractor, depending on handlebar position. This allowed much safer and more practical operation of a wider range of implements. Only very recently have any Asian manufacturers added this feature to their machines at all, and the bulk of Asian machines are still produced without this feature. United States equals. Two-wheel tractors existed in the U.S. at least as early as 1913, when the Detroit Tractor Company advertised a tractor whose operator, riding on the implement, controlled the tractor via reins, just as he would a horse team. By 1918, the Mollin Plough Company's Mollin Universal Tractor likewise relied on its implement to supply the rear wheels in a four-wheel articulated unit, though its design dispensed with the long trailer tongue and horse reins. A 1918 example of Mollin advertising called the Universal the original two-wheel tractor, which was a fanciful claim in light of the Detroit tractor and other machinery described with that phrase from 1913 through 1915. But Mollin Plough no doubt felt pressured to claim priority in response to a very similarly built competitor, the Alice Chalmers Model 6-12, which Mollin Plough alleged was a patent-infringing copy. As early as 1911, Benjamin Franklin Gravely of Charleston, West Virginia began with connecting the Indian motorcycle to a manually operated push plow. In 1916 he incorporated and, after obtaining partners, began producing single-wheel tractors and attachments under the name Gravely Tractor. The Model D Gravely Power Plow, like the prototype, was a single-wheeled affair, with a 2-horsepower air-cooled engine. It wasn't until 1937 that Gravely would introduce the Model L two-wheeled tractor with a 5-horsepower engine. Through the 20th century, Gravely became arguably one of the most successful and recognizable two-wheeled tractors produced in the United States, at one point offering 120 individual attachments for their all-gear drive machines. In 1915, Rush Hamilton of Healesville, California, designed Grouser drive wheels for his tractor, which came with an articulated two-iron-wheeled sulky to which wagons or ploughs could be attached. It was about this time that he formed the Hamilton Tractor Company. About 10 years later, the wheels were called Hamilton wheels, when used on a Fordson tractor. In 1916 he helped form the Fagel Motors Company, where he assisted in the development of the Fagel tractor. In 1932, Mando Steve Ariens, having just taken over the reins of his father's Brillion Iron Works, had to declare bankruptcy at the height of the Great Depression. In 1933, in his father Henry's garage and Steve's basement, he and his father developed their first Ariens rotary tiller, a 30-inch tiller, powered by a 14-horsepower, front-mounted, four-cylinder V-type engine. In 1930, automobile manufacturer Cadwallader Washburn Carl Kelsey was introduced to the rototiller by H. B. Hiller, a German immigrant who once worked for Siemens Boden-Fresen division. Kelsey opened a sales office using the name Rototiller Company on Broadway in New York City. He then started importing Siemens Boden-Fresen from Germany. In 1932, Kelsey incorporated using the new company name Rototiller, Incorporated and the Rototiller trademark. The operation was moved to Long Island City, New York, and SIMAR from Switzerland was added to the line. Carl Kelsey designed, patented and made several improvements to the SIMAR and Siemens machines because of the different American soils versus the European soil that had been farmed for many more centuries. One major improvement was a shock absorber to reduce Tyne's spring return bounce. In 1934 Kelsey and Rototiller, Incorporated introduced its first rotary tiller of its own design, the Model AA All-American. And in 1937 Rototiller, Incorporated moved from its Long Island City facility to 102nd Street and 9th Avenue in Troy, New York. In 1945 after selling the larger B-Series Rototillers and trademark to Graham Page Motors, Rototiller, Incorporated converted to full-time production of various models of small horsepower home garden-size rototillers. In 1946, Cecil Pond of South Bend, Indiana, started the Wheel Horse Company, whose first product was a walk-behind two-wheel tractor. In quick succession in 1959 and 1960, Rototiller traded hands to Porter-Cable Company of Syracuse, New York, and then to Rockwell Manufacturing Company of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The rear tine rototiller business continued to decline and Porter-Cable sold its rototiller and small engine division to Motomoa division of the Dura Corporation of Detroit according to a May 10, 1962 article in the Richmond Palladium Item and Sun-Telegram. In 1961 Rototiller, Incorporated and the Rotoet trademark disappeared. There were also numerous other American manufacturers of two-wheel tractors. Among them, David Bradley, Chawmaster, Simplicity and others. All these manufacturers operated in the 1940 to 1970 year range. Today, the Ariens Company continues, and Gravely is now a subsidiary of Ariens. Gravely, Ariens discontinued the production of their own two-wheel tractor in 2002. Since then, they for a short time imported a Swiss machine and sold it under the Gravely label. They have discontinued this as well. Japan Japanese entrepreneurs began to indigenously design and manufacture two-wheel tractors in the early 1920s. According to Frank's Nogayama farmer Nishizaki Hiroshi was returning from the WWI determined not to walk behind his father's draft animals and began experimenting with attaching a plough to the newly available small horsepower kerosene engines that farmers were beginning to use for pumping water and threshing. Nishizaki saw a Swiss-made garden tractor being demonstrated through a Japanese government technology demonstration initiative in a nearby village. By 1926 Nishizaki had made his first version from diesel-powered engine connected by a belt to rotating blades mounted on a wooden frame with two wheels. Soon he began renting it out to neighbors. And as with all good ideas soon multiple small workshops entered the scene producing various versions. By 1938 there were 22 manufacturers in Japan with 17 of them in Okayama. By 1939 there were over 2,800 two-wheel tractors rotavators in use in Japan. but by the early 1940s nearly half of all the machines were out of commission due to lack of quality and spare parts. After WWII, small two-wheel tractors were imported from the United States and were mainly intended for use in transportation, pulling carts and small trailers. As these gained popularity, many Japanese manufacturers, taking hints gleaned from foreign machines, started production using the American as their initial model. Farmers quickly found that two-wheel tractors were more economical to use, as compared to keeping animals for tillage, and two-wheel tractors began selling widely. Agricultural machinery dealers received cattle for the barter for tractors, and they in turn sold the cattle in the meat market. Average tractor horsepower per hectare in 1950 was nearly zero. This average grew to 0.86 picoseconds per hectare within 10 years with the rapid spread of two-wheel tractors. Trailer attachments were also being widely utilized for transportation. Matsui Yamasuki, presently known as Nippo brand, invented the Japanese-style moldboard plough to be attached to two-wheel tractor, that made ploughing with a moldboard possible with 2.5 horsepower tractors. Though four-wheel riding tractors began to spread in the 1960s, and are taking over primary tillage operations, two-wheel tractors are still popular in Japan for primary tillage and intercultivation in vegetable production, transportation around the farm, etc. Most farm households that own a four-wheel tractor also own at least one two-wheel tractor. Thailand. The unique long-handled Thai type two-wheel tractor was developed in the late 1950s by Amadebrit Dai Davikul, head of the engineering division of the Thai Rice Department, of the Thai Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives. As the early 2WTs did not have steering clutches, longer handles were provided for turning and controlling the tractor more easily in fields. Initially the engines were taken from kerosene engine-powered irrigation pumps, but as the popularity of the tractor became obvious, 3 Japanese firms set up diesel engine factories in Thailand with agreements to progressively increase local content. Later, steering clutches were provided on many companies' models. The tractor gearbox and chassis are made by many local industries. Initially, factories copied from one another, and competing for sales to the point that the tractor's chassis without engine has become very inexpensive, about 1/3 to 1/2 the cost of the engine. The Thai tractor eventually evolved into a more general standard NC-type models with 3 gears forward, 1 reverse, and steering clutches. Attachments that are available are moldboard and disc ploughs, spike-tooth harrows, trail-type rotary puddlers, various types of levelers and simple trailers. Recently, a new NC Plus model offered by Siam Kubota comes with a power takeoff that can drive a rotary tiller and other attachments. Additionally, many farmers use V-belts to connect the stationary tractor engine to power centrifugal pumps and axial flow pumps, rice threshers, maize shellers, etc. Recently, inexpensive Chinese-made NC models have come on the international market, but attempts by Siam Kubota and others to keep them out of Thailand, Cambodia and elsewhere due to claims of copyright infringement. Through the 1980s and 1990s, more than 50,000 tractors were reportedly being produced and sold each year, and by 2006 more than 70,000 were being produced and even more imported, so that estimates of 2WT population is between 1.7-2.0 million 2WTs in Thailand. Sri Lanka. In 1955, Ray Wijewardene designed a two-wheel tractor. An early attempt to mechanize farm labor during the Green Revolution, it was eventually manufactured and marketed worldwide by the Landmaster Company in Nottingham, UK. By 1975 nearly 11,000 units had been imported. By 2001, over 2,000 mostly Chinese 2WTs were being imported per year, and by 2007 it was estimated that there were over 125,000 2WTs in Sri Lanka. India. Interest in two-wheel tractors in India began with special government programs in the 1960s that aided in setting up multiple joint ventures with Japanese two-wheel tractor manufacturers. Initial government prospects for two-wheel tractors was very high. To meet these expectations, the government of India expanded its efforts to include government subsidies, and greatly increased research, development and extension programs for two-wheel tractors. Despite these efforts, two-wheel tractor adoption has been disappointing. Especially so when current number of two-wheel tractors estimated at 100,000 are compared with neighboring Sri Lanka's and Bangladesh's two-wheel tractor populations of 120,000 and 400,000 respectively, countries that are a fraction the size of India but with very similar agricultural and socio-economic systems. There have been many reasons offered and even official investigations into the low adoption rates. One main reason given here is that prices of the joint venture Indian-Japanese two-wheel tractors are twice as expensive as compared to the nearly identical Chinese-made two-wheel tractors available in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Indian manufacturers that did not survive are J.K. Sato Agricultural Machinery Limited, a collaboration between J.K. Cotton Spinning and Weaving Mills Limited and Sato Agricultural Machinery Limited, Japan, began production of two-wheel tractors in a plant with a capacity of 6,000 units per year, but from its beginning in 1972 till closure of the plant in 1977 only produced and sold 800 units. Bangladesh. History of two-wheel tractors began with efforts in the late 1970s to promote Japanese imported two-wheel tractors. Adoption remained low through most of the 1980s. In 1987 a large cyclone killed much of the livestock and bullock population. With no prospect timely restoration the bullock population, the government began to allow what they once considered inferior quality Chinese two-wheel tractors to be imported to aid in fulfilling farmers' land preparation needs. Chinese two-wheel tractors were 50% less cost than the comparable Japanese or Indian manufactured two-wheel tractors, and adoption quickly increased to over 100,000 by 1993, 200,000 by the late 1990s, and some current estimates put the number at well over 300,000 Chinese two-wheel tractors. Though there has been some criticism on the high cost of imports, others have noted that there is now a very large spare parts industry in support of the Chinese imports. Philippines. A Kolag is a vehicle composed of a two-wheel trailer pulled by a two-wheeled tractor similar to a rotary tiller. It is powered by multi-purpose diesel or gasoline engine, commonly used in the provinces of the Philippines. The Kolag traces its etymology from the Filipino term kulaglig, meaning cicada, which was adopted by one manufacturer as a brand. Kulagligs are commonly used for a carabao replacement. It is a more handy tool for farming. When connected to a trailer, it can be used for the transportation of people or farm goods. When connected to a water pump, it can be used for irrigating rice and vegetable fields. At times it is also used for fish pond operations. On some occasions wherein there is difficulty of procuring APCs to fight insurgents, a mounted machine gun at the trailer will make it into a mobile attack unit, similarly used by AFP during their battles in Mindanao and Cordillera areas. When connected to a grindstone, it can be used for sharpening blades, sanding and steel brushing. On some occasions or festivals, it is used as a float during parades. It is sometimes used for races. According to the Land Transportation Office, the Kolag owner is not required to register his vehicle since it has no serial number and has purposes other than simple transportation. In some urban areas, Koolagligs are sometimes used as an alternative public utility vehicle. These are modified pedicabs with attached motor engines used by fishing boats or bankers. The operation of these version of Koolaglig has been banned by Metro Manila to decongest noise pollution but are still present in some provinces. Elsewhere. China has the highest numbers that are estimated to approach 16m. What percentage of this total is used in agriculture is not well understood. Their previously noted multiple work roles is said to have a large percentage used for transport in rural areas as well as peri-urban construction sites, etc. Thailand has nearly 3m, Sri Lanka 120,000, Nepal 15,000. Parts of Africa have begun importing Chinese tractors and Nigeria may have close to 1,000. In Europe, southern Germany, northern and southern Italy, Switzerland, and many countries of Central Eastern Europe also have significant populations of two-wheel tractors, as they have been sold there for agricultural use since the 1940s. Safety of two-wheel tractors. A number of reports have highlighted safety issues associated with the operation of two-wheel tractors. The most common accidents involve crossing the bins and road transport. The operation of two-wheel tractors for transport at night is a recognized hazard in many countries, particularly as single headlights can be mistaken for a motorcycle. Research undertaken in Cambodia and Laos concluded that two-wheel tractors are involved in around 5% of fatal accidents. Occupational health and safety reports have recommended regular breaks for the machine operator due to vibrations. However, safety researchers have concluded that the risk to public safety must be weighed against the economic and social benefits. Current two-wheel tractor manufacturers in Asia. China Chanzhou Dongfeng Agricultural Machinery Group Company. Located in Chanzhou, Jiangsu Province near Shanghai, Chanzhou Dongfeng Agricultural Machinery Group Company claims to be the only manufacturer in China that owns the Dongfeng brand name. Manufacturing more than 150,000 DF Model two-wheel tractors a year in 12, 14 and 15 horsepower ranges. It has recently expanded into the four-wheel tractor market, manufacturing over 30,000 tractors in the 20-90 horsepower range, under the brand name Chanzhou. Zhejiang Shifang Group, founded in 1961, produces GN-type all-model 2WTs at their Yongkang tractor factory in Zhejiang province. Like DFAM above, Zhejiang Shifang Group claims to be the only manufacturer in China that owns the Shifang brand name. They also manufacture a broad range of single-cylinder diesel engines and small combine harvesters. Linchu Mingxin Machinery Company, Limited. Linchu Mingxin Machinery Company, Limited, located in Linsu County, Shandong Province, is the special manufacturing factory for the walking tractors, power tiller and small farm tractors. This factory could manufacture the power tillers from 2 horsepower to 10 horsepower, the walking tractors from 6 horsepower to 22 horsepower. To cover the different kinds of field and plants, this factory designed the different models walking tractor and make the walking tractor to meet the field like paddy field or dry field, and also the different kinds of plants and using habit of the farmers. The website of this factory is http://www.mingxin.com. India Kerala Agricultural Machinery Corporation, located in Kerala in southern India, KAMCO in cooperation with Kubota, Japan, manufactures 12 horsepower two-wheel tractor with a range of attachments, a two-wheel tractor walk-behind 3.5 horsepower 120 cm reaper and a small 5 horsepower, 2. It currently sells nearly 6,500 of its two-wheel tractors per year. VST Tiller Tractors Limited. Located in Bangalore, VST Tiller Tractors Limited, part of the VST Group, 3, in 1965, in association and joint venture with the Mitsubishi Group, Japan, began production of single-cylinder diesel engines and two-wheel tractors. Currently they offer 3 versions of its VST Shakti brand two-wheel tractors with rotary tillers. The 13-horsepower VST Shakti 130 DICT85, the 9-horsepower Mitsubishi Shakti VWH 120/CT85, and 8-horsepower Mitsubishi Shakti AD 8 volts per carat 85. In 2003 they also began importing DF Model two-wheel tractors from China and marketing them as Dragon tractors under their Shakti brand. Thailand The Siam Kubota Industry Company, Limited. Located in Bangkok, Thailand, Siam Kubota Industry Company, Limited is a joint venture between the Siam Cement PCL, Kubota Corporation, Marubeni Corporation, and Min Senator Machinery Company, Limited and began operations in 1978-4. They make a range of harvesters, four-wheel tractors and two-wheel tractors. They offer 4 models of walk-behind and with single and double clutches. STI International Flying Star. Established in 1983, STI International Company, Limited, 5, is located at Wang Noi, Ayutthaya Province and manufactures engines, water pumps 2WTs and lawnmowers and variety of other agricultural and construction machinery. Taylorthong Factory Company Limited. Established in 1970, the Taylorthong Factory Company, Limited, 6, is located in Panatnaikon, on Buri and has a wide product range that includes several time models of 2WTs, small diesel engines, disc plough, rice mill, threshers, shrimp farm equipment, evaporation system equipment and multi-purpose agricultural vehicles, all manufactured and marketed under the Taylorthong brand. Vietnam Vicino, Southern Agricultural Machinery Company Vietnam, Vicino a manufacturer since 1967 of compact diesel engines, four-wheel and two-wheel tractors and agricultural machinery like rice mills and powered reapers. 2WT's models are MK55 plus gasoline engine 168 FMK70 plus diesel engine RV70. MK120S plus diesel engine RV125-2. MK120 plus diesel engine RV125-2. MK120B plus diesel engine RV125-2. MK165 plus diesel engine RV165-2. Current two-wheel tractor manufacturers in the West. United Kingdom Mayfield tractors. Mayfield pedestrian tractors appeared on the market sometime about 1949 and were principally designed as a grass cutter in much the same vein as the Allen scythe. Subsequently a comprehensive range of attachments were available to turn the tractor into a useful tool for the smallholder and market gardener. Assembly was carried out at the Balfour Works of Esserwood and Company in Croydon but latterly moved to a site in Rydal, Surrey. Germany Agria, makers of two-wheel garden and farm two-wheel tractors with a variety of implements. The company was established in post-war Germany in the southwest of the country, in the federal state of Baden-Württemberg. The founder of the Mockmel machine factory was Erwin Michtel, who, together with his partner and technical director Dr. Ing. Otto Goller, managed in 1945 to relocate the pre-war production line and materials of the Karlsruhe Gears factory to the neighboring town of Rutschen. In response to the local vintner needs of the time, Michtel and Goller were encouraged to produce their first non-wheel power hoe, a project which transported the name Mockmel all over the world. Soon the wheeled version followed. In 1948 the 100th machine was sold. In 1958 the 100,000th machine was unveiled at the German Agricultural Fair by the then Minister and later Prime Minister Drivla 1/4 BKE. In 2001 the 1 millionth machine was raffled to the public at the Cologne International Gardening Fair. It was one of the Model 100, which represents Agria's most popular model of power hoe. Italy Grillo Spa began in the Romagna region in the early 1950s developing a farm hoe for weeding in fruit orchards. In 1953 the first Grillo walking tractor was born. The Grillo winning idea was to detach the motorized tractor from the attachments. It became possible to fit tines, plows, and trailers, and via fitting a water pump it was possible to irrigate. In 1955 the factory started the first series production of 15 different models per year. In 1957 Grillo became the name of the factory and a brand. In the late 1960s, Grillo formed a technology-sharing venture with the Italian manufacturer BCS, with the goal of expanding their versatility in implement types to include mowing and other front PTO applications. The two companies worked together until the early 1980s. In the 1980s the company experienced a considerable growth in garden machines, and also in lawn care equipment. In that decade the Grillo Research and Development Department created the first Italian lawnmower with a double hydrostatic system. Today thousands of machines are sold throughout the world annually. The name Grillo means cricket in Italian. BCS Group BCS was founded in 1943 by Luigi Castoldi in his workshop in Abbiate Grasso, a small town near Milan. The area was and still is highly agricultural. For this reason the motor-mower Model 243 was created. This was among the first self-propelled motor-mowers in the world. At the end of the 1960s BCS entered into a technology-sharing venture with the Grillo Company of Italy, the goal being to integrate soil working implements into the BCS line. This venture lasted until the early 1980s, and served to launch BCS into the field of green maintenance machines by producing their first Euro multi-purpose two-wheel tractors. Starting in 1970, BCS introduced rotary disc mowers. In 1988 BCS purchased Ferrari at La Serra, and in 1999 BCS purchased Pasquale at Calenzano. These acquisitions strengthened BCS Group's divisions with two brands with an international reputation, and since Ferrari and Pasquale produced four-wheel tractors, these purchases allowed BCS to move into the four-wheel tractor market. BCS Group presently counts on 3 production plants and on 6 branches. BCS Tractors BCS are makers of two-wheel and four-wheel tractors targeting both agriculture and commercial lawn and greens care. Headquarters and factories are located in Abbiate Grasso. Ferrari Ferrari is a manufacturer of two- and four-wheel tractors devoted to agriculture and lawn care. It was created in 1954, during the agricultural reconstruction period of the country. After an initial period dedicated to the production of wire-drawing machines for irrigation pipes, in 1957 Ferrari took part in the Verona exhibition with its first agricultural machine, the two-wheel tractor MC57, which carries the date of its birth. In 1965 Ferrari launched the first articulated tractor MT65. The range of products was increased to motor mowers and tractors for diverse applications. At the end of the 1960s, the company looked to foreign markets. The subsidiary company Ferrari France was established in 1972. In 1988 Ferrari became part of the BCS Group. Today Ferrari has a wide range of machines, between maintenance machines for recreational use and professional tractors for niche agriculture. Headquarters and factories are located at Abbiate Grasso. Pasquale Macchine Agricole founded in 1949 by Dr. Lino Pasquale, the company began production of two-wheel tractors, and in the late 1950s ergonomic improvements such as rubber tires, seat, and steering handles were added. In the late 1960s a line of articulated four-wheel tractors was added. In 1999, the BCS Group purchased the Pasquale brand. Pasquale machines work all over the world, with a wide range of motor mowers, two-wheel tractors, and specialized tractors with power up to 100 horsepower. Headquarters and factories are located at Abbiate Grasso. Other Italian manufacturers include Goldini, Bertolini, SEP Barbieri, Casazzo, Lampa Fort, MAB, Meccanica Benassi, Nibai, Adriatica, and Myra. United States Gravely Tractors, established in 1916, Gravely Tractors began production of two-wheel tractor with moldboard plows costing approximately $170 and slowly grew to become one of the most recognized commercial lawn and garden machinery manufacturers in the U.S. In 1986 Gravely became a wholly owned subsidiary of the Ariens Company. Gravely, Ariens discontinued the production of their own two-wheel tractor in 2002. Since then, they for a short time imported a Swiss machine and sold it under the Gravely label. They have discontinued this as well. See also, monowheel tractor. References. Further reading, Erickson, Matthew. Two-wheel tractors, road safety issues in Laos and Cambodia. Safety Science 48, 5, 537-43. 7, Franks, Penelope. A Euro-mechanizing small-scale rice cultivation in an industrializing economy, the development of the power tiller in pre-war Japan. A Euro unregistered trademark. World Development, 1996. 24, 4, 781. A Euro 796. Shridhar, B., P.K. Padmanathan, and Armenian. Utilization pattern of power tillers in Tamil Nadu. Agricultural mechanization in Asia, Africa and Latin America. 37, 1, 85-89. 8, Starkey, Paul, Simon Ellis, John Hine, and Anatol L. Improving Rural Mobility, Options for Developing Motorized and Non-Motorized Transport in Rural Areas. World Bank Technical Papers No. 525. Washington, World Bank. 9, Taiwari, P.S., and L.P. Jeet. Evaluation of work rest schedules during operation of a rotary power tiller. International Journal of Industrial Ergonomics 36, 3, 203-10. 10. External links, two-wheel tractor ploughing, operator riding, Germany. A Euro YouTube video, two-wheel tractor ploughing, operator walking, Germany. A Euro YouTube video.